Thanks for joining us today on Indivisible. I'm your host, John Stubbins. We're thrilled to have you with us, America. This is the show where we put God first, family, and country, and we will always tell you the truth. We're streaming live today on indivisible.events.us, which is our brand new website, and I encourage you to go there. We're always looking for sponsors. You can donate there. I encourage you to do that. Again, that's indivisible.events.us, and I'm actually going to scroll that at the bottom here for a minute. We're also streaming live to our other partners, PatriotTV.live, Pure Social TV, Pill.net, the Foxhole app, Spreely.com, FreedomFirstNetwork.com, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. We're adding Clout Hub. We're adding a bunch of new platforms as we're trying to get conservative-oriented platforms in for our show. Again, please subscribe at Stubbins.org. Click the notifications bell so that you get updates for the show, and help us with our investigations, with our federal witness, with our whistleblowers. We need every bit of help that you patriots can give. And again, go to indivisibleevents.us. That is our new site. Now, while we're talking about that, I also want to go in here real quick and show you this event for Las Vegas, which is July 21st. Again, that is in Las Vegas at the South Point Hotel, July 21st. You want to go to indivisibleevents.us or indivisibleevents.com, but you can reach the .com through the .us. So indivisibleevents.us, and just click on events, and it'll take you right to the page so that you can get tickets. I also want to mention, as always, our partners and people that we highly encourage you to follow, and that's my friend Sidney Powell, defendingtherepublic.org. That's fair and transparent elections.com for the Gavin Newsom recall effort in California, and also the audit. And then also frankspeech.com. And we want to thank our sponsor, Mike Lindell from My Pillow, for being there for us and being our number one sponsor. And we just want to thank Mike and My Pillow for everything that they do. Fantastic products. Also, I want to give a shout out to PatriotTV.live, because PatriotTV.live is a brand new streaming option, and you can go there to get Indivisible hats, mugs, etc. as well. And we're also doing the same thing on indivisibleevents.us. So you can get them both. Shout out to Dave Bray, who does our music. And as you know, it's fantastic. So we love Dave. So now, on to the show. We've got an incredible show here for you today. First, I want to make a couple announcements. I just got this from a friend who texted me right before the show started. The San Diego County Supervisor, they just voted to enforce vaccines for all people on Tuesday, and it passed. So everybody in San Diego has now been forced to take vaccines, and supposedly Republicans crossed over and also voted for this. So if you're in San Diego, boy, you guys have got some problems out there, and it looks like it's only going to get worse. Also, our streaming partners doubled this week, like I was mentioning earlier, and we're going to be adding Clout Hub, frankspeech.com. We're just getting those set up now with Mike Lindell and also Jeff Brain over at Clout Hub. So I want to ask a couple questions here, but before I do that, I just want to make a statement to Ilhan Omar, because I'm really tired of Ilhan Omar. I want to send this message to you, Ilhan. You need to go back to where you came from, because obviously you don't like America. You seem to hate America, and you're trying to turn America into the Middle East, which is where you came from, and you're trying to bring, well, you have brought jihad into our government, and we don't want jihad. We don't want slaughter in the streets like you have where you come from. So I highly advise you to go back to where you come from and, get out of our Congress because we don't want you. Here's a couple questions. Why isn't Hollywood or the movie, the movies themselves special? They're no longer special like they used to be when I was growing up. Movies were wonderful. They were grand. When you thought of California, you thought of a magical place, the Rose Bowl, Disney World, all the Disneyland. But because each movie is no longer special anymore, now it's just a cheap kind of cold hamburger stand. It's like a cookie cutter factory of a very bad dream. We see the same stuff regurgitated. And we'll dive into conservative filmmakers and the power of the media next week. My guest will include Mark Cook, Amanda Milius, who just directed the film The Plot Against the President, which is fantastic. Lee Smith, Amy Matsko, who wrote The Halo Theory, Eric Early, who's running for Attorney General in California, Shane Beauvais, who's got an amazing story that you've got to hear, and he works with President Trump, and also Alex Stovall, who's running for Congress in Arizona. Now, people watching NBC for the Olympics, or TNT or TBS for the NBA, or ABC, CBS for college football, pro football, or ESPN for any reason, just understand that they don't care about you. Because a lot of people that watch these networks, they obviously feel like these networks love them, and that's why they cater to them, but they don't love you. They could care less about you, and they have contracts worked out in advance for their programming. So they're not your buddy, and I'm tired of talking about this with this cancel culture nonsense. And as far as I'm concerned, pro sports are dead, and college sports are right there on the cusp, and they're bleeding in it, obviously, into high school and even into elementary school with this critical race theory nonsense. Now, Black people are not called out when they're criminals. If you say that someone Black is a criminal or a thug, then you're judged as a racist or a bigot. The truth is that in these Democrat-run cities, run by blue cities run by Democratic mayors or governors, they are killing factories like Chicago. I mean, Portland had an 800% increase in murder. That's what's happening in 2021. This is going on all over the country. New York, LA, Seattle, Chicago, you name it. But nobody calls these thugs out, and they're not penalized. They get arrested, maybe, and then they're let go 6 hours later with no bail. So they destroy everything they touch. And these people are racists, okay? They're calling you a racist, but they're actually the racist. Joy Reid on MSNBC and other Black Marxist advocates always talk of we should have a conversation about racism and defunding the police. Well, guess what, Joy? You're right. Let's have a conversation, except that the people that should be having this conversation, okay, are the actual Marxists and the racists and the ones calling to defund the police. So you don't speak for me, Joy Reid, for my family, for anyone I know, and you need to take a long, long look into the mirror. So why are these people shooting and robbing and looting and burning and assaulting people in these Democrat-run cities? Because you're criminals. And the reason you're always wanting to defund the police is so you can commit crimes carte blanche with no resistance. It's really common sense. And people need to wake up to that idea. That's what this is about. This is about having no checks and balances on criminal activity so that they can do all these criminal activities and nobody says anything and nobody goes to jail and there's no consequences, obviously. So, look, this is a full stop on this. If you don't want to go to jail, in this country we have rule of law, then don't commit crimes. Don't murder people. Don't loot. Don't rob. Okay? You have turned our schools into indoctrination camps for racism. You burned down police stations. You've looted businesses. You've murdered and assaulted people. You've ruined lives for over 250 days last year, and it's starting up again this summer. And you want to talk about January 6th? Really? You want to talk about January 6th, one day where not one conservative shot anyone, okay? How does 250 days of chaos and anarchy compare to one day of no burning, no looting, no murder? The only person that was murdered was Ashley Babbitt. And Ashley Babbitt is a supporter of President Trump. So why aren't these criminals being arrested in these Democrat-run cities? Look, let's talk about January 6th, and let's do it in detail. And I want to bring on to the show for the very first time my friend Roger Stone. Welcome to the Stone, Roger. Welcome to the show, Roger. How you doing?
Great to be with you, John.
We're thrilled. We're thrilled to have you. And look, I'm sure that you heard my opening as I'm leading into. I had a couple of news things I had to share, but then I started to discuss January 6th and the importance of January 6th. And look, I'm really tired of this conversation because it's absurd in the first place on its face. Number one, you got 250 days over here of utter chaos, murder, looting, burning, assaults on elderly people, okay, who are by themselves, not bothering anybody, okay? And these people are innocent victims of thugs that just want to go out and commit crime. Part of this is Marxism, but the other part of this is an emboldening, okay, by these people that have decided that they're going to just inflict crime, carte blanche, at will on the American people. That's part of the Marxist movement, I guess. And I'm sure you would agree with that.
Well, it's a perfect example of the two-tier justice system we have in America. So last summer in Spain, in Seattle, in Kenosha, in Philadelphia, in Washington, D.C., you had the destruction of public property, burnings, citizens being attacked, looting, and we're told that this isn't organized. Really?
Right.
Who paid for the pallets of bricks? Who paid for the lawyers to bail people out on those rare occasions that they were arrested but not prosecuted? Who pays for the buses and the flatbeds? I mean, this was an organized effort to disrupt. And if there's been no prosecutions of those crimes, and to my knowledge, no investigation of who organized them and who paid for them.
That's right.
Juxtapose that with January 6th. As I have said previously, I know nothing about the events of January 6th. I never left my hotel grounds on the 6th. I spoke at 2 legally permitted events on the 5th. You can go see my comments online. They're both on YouTube, I believe. No, I didn't call for violence or lawlessness. I did express my belief in God. CNN said that
right.
in itself was inciting violence. Ridiculous.
Right. Ridiculous. Yeah. And by the way, and we talked about this, it's like when I go somewhere, I take photos, whether I'm at NRB or CPAC, or if I'm at an event with General Flynn or whoever, we always take pictures with people. Okay. So January 6th comes, you're there for the president, for his speech. You take pictures with people. People come up to you all the time. Hey, Mr. Stone, can I have a photo with you? Right. And they do it in a nice way. You take a photo with them. Exactly. It doesn't mean that you know these people. Okay. And so because you take a photo with someone, they want to connect that and say, well, he took a photo with this guy. He took a photo with this girl. He must be in on it.
Yeah, that's ABC News has been particularly egregious. It's guilt by association. You understand the technique. So, yeah, I've probably posed for thousands of pictures in the last 2 years. I never turned down a patriot if they asked for a selfie or an autograph. And that doesn't mean I am responsible to know their name or I'm responsible for the past, present, and future of anything that they have done or will do. So, but this has been a technique started by ABC News, who hypes a video which proves absolutely nothing. Proves nothing at all. Other than that, a lot of people like me. It does prove that. And then, of course, CNN picks it up, and all the birds jump off the wire at that point. The New York Times, the Washington Post, the usual fake news media outlets, the corporate-owned media. Now we're back to recycling it. So these stories ran in the immediate aftermath of January 5th. Then a columnist for the LA Times says Roger Stone is under investigation. Well, nothing's changed since January 7th. I know nothing about this, and any claim, accusation, implication, or accusation, I should say, that I do is categorically false. There's some guy on Substack writing that Giuliani had a war room set up in the Willard Hotel and Roger Stone was there. No, not to my knowledge. The only rooms I was in was the lobby and my room. That's
right. That just tells you how absurd, and I use the word absurd not lightly. It tells you just how absurd these people are. By the way, I want to bring onto the show with us Jeff Zink. He's a Republican out in Arizona District 7. And how you doing, Jeff? Can you hear us?
I can. How are y'all doing?
We're doing good, Jeff. Look, we were talking about January 6th, and I want to introduce you to Roger Stone. Roger, this is Jeff Zink, running for Congress out in Arizona. And I want to talk with Jeff, just include him in the conversation here, specifically about January 6th. Now, Jeff, your son was incarcerated. He's still incarcerated, correct?
No, he was released. We got an attorney. He was released about 3 weeks ago. He had spent a month and a half in Washington, D.C., federal penitentiary. He keeps getting his stay conference. It's a status conference where they're going to charge him with 2 felonies, 2 misdemeanors. If convicted, he's facing 47 years in federal penitentiary in regards to doing absolutely nothing. He was with me 100% of the time while we were on Capitol grounds. And the FBI came and they talked with me. I had one on each side of me. We had my phone. We went through every video, every photograph that I had on my phone. Nothing had been deleted. They looked through everything, didn't see anything, couldn't arrest me. However, they've charged my son as part of this so-called insurrection that retrieved 0 guns. If there was an insurrection, you would think that they would have arrested people that had weapons.
Sure. And by the way, I'm going to go to a quick video that Jeff sent me. I had a hard time getting it uploaded, but we've got it without sound, and I'm going to show this real quick. And Jeff, while I'm showing this, I want you to tell the audience about it, please.
Okay. This is on this video that you're going to be showing is the actual waving on of the people. The Capitol Police, actually, the opening that they had just opened that up, and the crowd didn't move. We kind of looked at each other, didn't move. And then we had this gentleman that comes up and he starts yelling, come on, come on. And he starts waving us. And then obviously you can see where people started, going towards the Capitol.
Right. And here's the thing. And Jeff, you told me that you guys were on the west side of the Capitol building on January 6th. You and your son, you guys did not go in. You stayed back, which common sense would tell anybody to do. Okay.
Well, so the west side was where the wall, where they scaled the wall. We were actually on the east side, which is where the parking lot was, where several of the cars were. We were on the opposite side of what was first shown by the world, what was going on at the Capitol.
Right. And you had told me about the discussion about your son and his, them trying to charge him with this 47 years comes down to 2 statements: the 2 flashbangs, and then also the statement were storming the Capitol.
Correct.
And I want you to tell Roger about this because I want Roger to comment.
Oh, absolutely. So my son live streamed while we had just crossed the bicycle barrier after being waved on, and basically stated, we're storming the Capitol. We're storming the Capitol. They can't stop us now. And based on that, and then another comment that he made on Facebook, which was an attempt to bolster himself. It wasn't something that actually happened. It's a false statement. Myself, that he said he took 2 flashbangs in the chest, but he's okay. If you would have taken 2 flashbangs, I would have known it. That was a boisterous statement. However, my understanding is that freedom of speech, you can say anything that you want. That's not a crime. If stupidity is a crime, then yes, he's probably guilty, but so would be every Democrat and rhino in Congress and Senate.
In America. Go
Yes.
ahead, Roger.
Well, first thing I would do is consult your attorney because those charges don't seem to be legitimate, or at least not as serious as one might think. 47 years in prison seems like a bit much, but then they wanted to give me 9 years in prison for lying to Congress. Lying to Congress. You mean like McCabe, Comey, Brennan, Hillary, Rice? This list goes on and on. Rosenstein himself, who testified to Congress that I didn't approve the investigation into Roger Stone. And of course, we've seen the document where he did. So conservatives, Christians, Republicans, Trump supporters, free thinkers, we're held to a completely different standard than everyone else in America. Certainly a different standard from the ruling elite. If you recognize that nobody has been prosecuted where there have been beatings, burnings, and so on in the BLM Antifa riots last summer, and Hunter Biden still has a $200 million stake in an investment company where his partner is the communist Chinese. The president has not been honest about that. It seems to me that the FBI and our law enforcement agencies have something more important to do. Now, I have denounced those who entered the Capitol. I think it was politically stupid and counterproductive. The idea that you would somehow help Trump by trespassing, by destroying public property, by menacing lawmakers. But from what I hear, you didn't do any of those things. And therefore, I wish you luck, but I urge you to listen carefully to your attorney and get an attorney who is a fighter. I mean,
correct.
Many of these attorneys they don't think politically, they just think legally. They don't recognize that what happens outside the courtroom has an impact on what happens inside of the courtroom. And therefore, you need the right lawyer.
Amen. And by the way, I wanted to mention the name Kleinsmith, my friend Carter Page. You know, Kleinsmith even admitted his guilt, and they still give him a slap on the wrist. Okay?
Right.
So, look, this is, just like Roger said, it is a two-tiered justice system. It is unsustainable in this republic. Unsustainable. Okay? People talk about, well, there's going to be civil war. Well, at this rate that we're going with the border, with the two-tiered justice system, with this Marxist movement and BLM and critical race theory and all this nonsense, that's where we're heading.
Yep.
If the stop isn't put to this, okay, and common sense and patriots don't stand up, it will prevail. And it'll take over this country, and you won't recognize this.
Let me be clear. I'm against the notion of civil war. I'm a political scientist, and I've written a 4-part plan. If you go to Roger Stone's plan to save America.com, you can read the 4-part plan. It's quite simple. The way to bring change is to have honest, fair, transparent elections.
Amen.
That is the basis of it.
Amen.
But until we end the control and censorship of all mass communications in the United States, then honest elections are virtually impossible. So you have to start there. We need the beachhead again on the internet that we had in 2016. It was only the rise of a robust alternative media based in the internet that allowed for the election of Donald Trump. So it is possible to build platforms on the internet without using Google products or Amazon products or Apple products or any of these other Trojan horse software or programs that allow them to control the fate of your site.
I'm doing that now, by the way. I'm doing that myself.
Once you have done that, then we need the full range of websites, news sites, crowdfunding sites, event sites, and so on. These are the tools you need for political communication, not just to each other, but to the American people. Once you've done that, I still think you can galvanize people. You can mobilize them in favor of free, fair, transparent, honest elections. In those states where you have Democratic governors and Democratic legislatures, and they refuse to enact reform, well, then you have to examine constitutional amendment. It's not easy, it's not quick, but it does work. We can tell you that here in Florida in spades, but we have to have fair elections. Then step 3, we need to clean house in the Republican Party.
Yes.
We need to get rid of the feckless, weak-kneed, establishment Republicans, those white wine swilling, green pants wearing, country club Republicans who have no guts and no balls and are only in politics to line their own pockets and the pockets of their friends.
Yeah.
And the way you do this is through the primary process, through the democratic process. Today, in the Republican Party, across the country, there are thousands of open precinct seats, committee seats that go unfilled because no one steps forward, and the party leaders don't recruit anybody because they don't want to recruit someone who might vote for reform, who might want to clean up the GOP. So that is an absolute necessity. Let's be very clear. Thanks to Donald Trump, we are the party of the working class. We're also the party of criminal justice reform. We're the party of low taxes. We're the party of economic growth and job creation.
America first.
We're the party committed to sealing our borders.
Yes.
But we are a blue-collar party of the working people, and it's not going to change. Any Bush Republican who deludes himself into thinking that this party is going to revert back to what it was before the hostile takeover of the party by Donald Trump is dreaming.
Yes, I agree. I agree with you. And Jeff, before we let you go, I just want to tell the audience, Jeff has been involved hands-on working 20 hours a day on the Arizona audit. And Arizona is the only state that objected to the Electoral College votes, which started the 2-hour debate on January 6th. Real quick, Jeff, give us an update on what's happening on the ground in Arizona.
What's happening right now is that we have all of the ballots are now being moved to a different location. Aggregation is still going to be continuing, trying to look at the data that has been delivered by the forensic audit. And once again, I want to say this is the very first in the world history that a forensic audit has actually taken place in an election. The difference being is that they keep saying, well, we've had audits. Well, let's take an example of those audits. If there's 50 boxes of ballots, and I give you 2 and 8 and 16 and 22 and 34 and 48, and you look at those and you go, okay, well, we didn't find anything. And you say, okay, well, all the rest of them are exactly the same. But yet all the shenanigans were all in the odd numbered boxes, and not the even numbers that was given to us. This one is the first one where every ballot was counted in Maricopa County, that it was not only counted, but then it was forensically looked at through paper examination. And then we got a report that's going to come out probably sometime in August, mid-August, somewhere around in there. It's about 6 weeks to go through the data that we have. And then we will tell the world what happened in Maricopa County. But we've also had 20 states with senators and House of Representatives that have visited the audit site and have come in, looked at what is now being described as the gold standard of forensic audit. We actually are seeing a industry being developed where every 4 years we should be able to have somebody have an audit to make sure that we have a election integrity. And that the other thing too is that we have 4 boxes that we have to go through. First is the soapbox, what Roger, myself, and you, John, are doing. The second is the ballot box. The third one's the jury box. If all 3 of those fail, then we only have the ammo box left. And this is where we are going to try everything we possibly can not to go to that end. So here in Arizona, yes, we are the first one to object. We're the first one to do a forensic audit. We're the first ones to actually have people come in, and it's going to stem other audits with other states. So it's exciting to see what's taking place and being on the front lines. And sure. I can say that I'm the only congressional candidate that is personally involved in the audit.
Well, look, we're proud of your work, Jeff, and I know that you're working with my friend Josh Barnett, who's also running for Congress. I know that you're working with Dr. Candace Taylor out of Georgia, who's running for governor over in Georgia. And we just applaud your work. And thanks for coming on the show today. Have a great afternoon, Jeff.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
God bless you, brother. We're going to take a real quick commercial break, and we'll be back with Roger Stone. Big news, America. Mike is bringing back the pillow offer for just $29.98. They're the softest pillows. They don't go flat. Wash them and dry them as many times as you like, and they still keep their shape. And they're made in America. Mike is offering his premium My Pillows at his lowest price ever. Queen size for $29.98, regularly $69.98. That's a $40 savings. And king size, only $5 more. Go to mypillow.com and enter the promo code Indivisible for my show, or call 1-800-716-4639 and give them the code Indivisible for my show, and you're going to get huge savings. We're back with Roger Stone, and we're thrilled to have him this afternoon. Before we get on, we've got a lot to cover. So that January 6th, that took half the show. But look, it's important to talk about it because we're tired of it. And they try to call Roger the mastermind behind this whole thing, which is complete nonsense. I want to talk about, Stone Cold Truth. These are books that Roger has. I want to encourage you, if you have not read them, and this is to my audience, if you have not read Stone Cold Truth, please do. Also, Stone's Rules. And by the way, introduction by Tucker Carlson. You guys know how much I love Tucker. And another fantastic book that I highly recommend that you read. Also, The Man Who Killed Kennedy, the case against LBJ. And you're going to love this because you know how I feel about the Clintons and you know about my investigations into the Clintons and the foundation and Uranium One and all that. The Clintons' War on Women, another highly recommend that you read. Roger, I know that you're proud of all of those books that you've written, and God bless you for doing it.
Thank you. StoneColdTruth.com is where you can read my commentary. I'll be doing a daily podcast there shortly. Be seen on many platforms. That's actually called Get Stoned, your daily fix of politics. But you eventually, I think we're under construction now, but very shortly, you'll be able to go to the store and get any of my books, and they'll be personally signed. Now, you can go to Amazon and buy them right now.
Sure.
Why would you want to help Amazon? So
right.
Just remember, StoneColdTruth.com. We've done a complete revamp. It's really looking good. I'm very excited because remember, I was gagged for 18 months.
Sure.
I wasn't allowed to say or post anything whatsoever, which I thought was unconstitutional at the time and think is unconstitutional now.
It is. And And again, you'll see it scrolling at the bottom. I want to make sure everybody knows this because, and I'll get into this in a minute, why. But at the bottom, you'll see it scrolling about where you can find Roger right now before this new show starts, stonefamilyfund.com. Let's help Roger. Let's help his wife who's going through cancer, which I want to talk about now. Nydia, she's at stage 4 lymphoma. And I wanted to, number one, send our love to her, to your wife. God bless her. We're going to be praying for her. And I want to maybe talk about that for a minute.
Sure.
And let people know that we'd like to help you and help your wife in this situation. So I know this has caused you and your wife a ton of stress. You guys lost everything, and what it did to you. And I just want you to talk about that with the audience for a minute, Roger.
Yeah, I think most people now understand that I was targeted for political reasons, that any misstatement I made before Congress was immaterial. It was hiding no underlying crime. It was a contrivance. And then on election night, November 3rd, 2020, at midnight, very odd time to put out a press release, don't you think? The Department of Justice released the last remaining sections, long hidden, of Robert Mueller's report, in which he admitted that he had found no factual evidence whatsoever of Russian collusion or WikiLeaks collaboration or involvement in the theft of John Podesta's Fakakta emails. And that was hidden from me at trial. It undermines the government's case. You can't lie about things you don't know about. In any event, it's been 2 years of essentially being smeared, framed, deplatformed, censored, terrified, threatened, bankrupted. And my poor wife has been my rock through this whole process. We have to remember, through most of 2020, she didn't know whether she was going to be alone, whether I would be languishing in some federal prison.
Right.
Wrongly convicted by a biased judge, a crooked jury forewoman who got caught red-handed, a carefully selected stacked jury, and contrived charges by what we now know, based on declassified documents, it was an entirely politically motivated witch hunt. In this case, I believe that, sadly, my wife, who's extraordinarily healthy, has never smoked, obviously, in her life, but she has lymphoma, which has now spread to one of her lungs. This is the manifestation of 2.5 years of stress.
Sure.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Look, it would give most people a heart attack.
And not long ago, on a Friday at 6:00, the Biden Justice Department filed a lawsuit against me regarding back taxes from 2007 and 2008. Taxes that I have been methodically paying down. I paid over $500,000 in taxes prior to Mueller bankrupting me. Every single one of these assertions, this is a civil suit, which attempts to imply that I've evaded taxes, which I have not.
Right.
We have no interest in pleading. I'm anxious to see this case go to trial, because I think we can prove indisputably that every single assertion by the government is false and sensationalized for maximum PR pickup. But it is just more of the witch hunt. It is an effort to vilify us and make it impossible for us to get back on our feet.
Quick question.
My wife is both spiritually and medicinally committed to beating cancer. But these cancer treatments, particularly the holistic, homeopathic ones, are extraordinarily expensive. So if you want to help us, they can go to stonefamilyfund.com. There you see it right there on the bottom of the screen.
Sure. Just as a personal favor from me and my audience, will you let your wife know that we want to send our love to her?
Absolutely. I want to see her right after the show, and I will send her your regards.
Please, and tell her that we'll be keeping her in our prayers, both of you. I want to ask you a question. This is just, I guess, a look into the future, as it were. Do you believe that your arrest or rearrest? I mean, we know about the dawn raid that CNN set up at your home, and it was just ridiculous. Do you believe that your rearrest is imminent by the Biden administration?
No, I do not, because I'm not guilty of any crime.
Okay.
Again,
you know how they are.
Yes, I understand that, but If the allegation continues to be that I have some involvement in January 6th, there is no evidence to prove that because it's not true. It's
Right.
categorically false. Yet the mainstream media calls me the mastermind. I never left my hotel grounds. I was not in touch with anybody who was at the Capitol. I knew nothing about this. And as I said, I've been accused of a lot of things, but stupidity is not one of them. This was politically counterproductive, and the left has used it as an excuse to curtail our civil liberties and our civil rights.
Right.
Why
Right.
would anyone think this was a good idea is beyond me.
That leads me to my next question, which is a doozy, because both of these people I cannot stand. And that's Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell. And I want to talk about them for a minute. Everybody knows that I'm involved working on the election integrity project out in California. Okay. And I have a bunch of friends out there that have run for Congress and different offices. And my friend Eric Early actually ran against Adam Schiff out there. Now Eric is running for Attorney General. And, you know, I've also had Devin Nunes on this show. And, you know, here's a great point. And you and I were talking about this the other day, Roger. Schiff and Swalwell are scum. I mean, I'm sorry. The fact that neither one of them are arrested, the fact that, first of all, let me be clear to the audience, and they know this because I talk about this all the time. First of all, Adam Schiff isn't even eligible to be in Congress. If you check the records, you will find he's not even a resident of the state of California. He's a resident of Maryland, just like Doris Matsui is from Sacramento. They both lied, and if you check their mortgage records, you'll be able to confirm that. Both of them should be in prison. Now, moving on. They have been leaking classified documents over and over and over again, which in itself, to me, is punishable. Okay? But my question is, and you and I talked about this, why hasn't Devin Nunes done anything about the leaks?
That's an excellent question, because what happened here is the mainstream media, particularly CNN, play up the fact that the Trump Justice Department was investigating the leaking of classified information by House Democrats. Number one, they had the full authority to do that. Number two, they had probable cause to do that. The real question is why they didn't prosecute anybody. I can tell you firsthand that Adam Schiff and Eric Swalwell leaked classified documents regarding my testimony before the committee. I could prove that indisputably. So again, it's the two-tier justice system. Remember, they all operate out of Alinsky's little handbook. Anything they are doing are exactly what they will accuse us of.
Yep.
Over and over and over again.
And my audience knows, because I talk about Saul Alinsky all the time, rules for radicals. In fact, I had my brother Trevor Loudon on a couple times over the last few weeks. We did a deep dive on Marxism, and then we did a deep dive on the Weather Underground, Bill Ayers, Bernadine Doran, Susan Rosenberg, this idiot DA in San Francisco who's the son-in-law or the stepson of Bill Ayers, Jason Bowden. These people are scum, okay? They are Marxist. They've been involved with the Black Liberation Army, the Black Panther movement, the Marxist, all of it. BLM, Antifa. They're funneling the money through Thousand Currents, through Susan Rosenberg, okay? And how these people get elected, I have no idea. I guess that the people in San Francisco and in Los Angeles, they want crime. I have no other way to understand it.
So let's sum this up. As I always say, don't swallow that. It's covered in Schiff.
That's great. That's great.
I actually wrote a story by that name. It's the Daily Caller. You can look it up.
That's great, Roger. Awesome. Look, Swalwell and Schiff are the poster boys for what not to do, for what is illegal, for what separates us from them in this two-tier justice system
Well, I mean,
that Roger's talking about.
particularly in the case of Eric Swalwell, we now know definitively that he had an affair with a red Chinese spy. We also know that that spy penetrated his office, put a person in his office, and that he has access to classified information as a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Yet, despite the objections, despite all this becoming public, Pelosi, the Speaker, refuses to remove him from the committee. Two-tier justice. Believe me, if they caught Devin Nunes having an affair with a Chinese spy, they would destroy him in a heartbeat.
Exactly.
But again, there's a protected elitist class in America, and Swalwell and Schiff are both members of it.
I want to talk about your Christian faith. And I know that that is a huge part of your life. I know that especially with what's going on with you guys over the last 18 months, it's been incredible. Again, the stress, the pressure, the financial hardships, your wife's stage 4 lymphoma, all of these things combined. Without the Lord, there'd be no way to even wake up every day. I can't even imagine trying to operate daily under those conditions without Jesus Christ. And I just wanted to have you speak to that.
Look, I'm living proof that Jesus Christ can do anything. I was raised in the Catholic Church. I had my baptism, my communion, my confirmation, was married in the church. But I admit that I had wandered far from the church, far from God and his laws. And when you are attacked, as I was, when you're about to be lynched while gagged, when you could see that there was no way out, that this was a contrived, rigged process, I did the only intelligent thing you could do. I prayed fervently to the Lord. I confessed my sins. I got right with Jesus Christ. And as the Bible prophesizes, the Lord delivered me from those that would persecute me. I avoided the deadly snare set by Adam Schiff and Robert Mueller. And therefore, all praise go to God. All praise go to our Creator. Because in my view, the Lord gave Donald Trump the strength and the courage to do the right thing, to recognize that I did not get a fair trial, that I was lynched, that the charges against me were ridiculous, and that the injustice of my sentence, they wanted to send me for 9 years to a Georgia prison facility where they insisted there were no cases of COVID-19, but the head of the prison guards union came forward to say, no, there were over 200 cases and they were being hidden. This would have been in direct contradiction of the Department of Justice and the Bureau of Prisons' current rules regarding COVID-19. But as one prosecutor said to my lawyer, oh, yes, that rule is for everybody else in America but Roger Stone.
Oh, jeez. Of course. What were we thinking? Look, I'm thankful. Look, we've all strayed. None of us are perfect. Only the Lord is perfect. Okay. And we've all strayed, and sometimes we continue to stray. And that is the idea behind asking for forgiveness. And look, we're all redeemable under God. And I just want to thank you for just talking about your faith. A lot of people won't do it. I'm not afraid to do it. On this show, we put God first and our country.
Well, there's a large number of clergymen that I can thank because at the exact right time, Reverend Randy Coggins, Franklin Graham himself, Pastor Mark Burns, Reverend Daryl Scott, Pastor Rod Parsley,
Pastor
Jeffries, Paula White, who's a wonderful American. All of them urged me to take refuge in the Lord. They all said that if I would confess that the president would pardon me and that I would be delivered from my enemies, that God would protect me, that God would defend me, he would never abandon me. And that has been true, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Once in the commutation of my sentence, secondarily in my unconditional pardon before Christmas, and thirdly on January 6th, when some instinct told me not to go anywhere near the Capitol, which I didn't.
Look, it's just crazy, this whole thing with January 6th. And again, you heard me talk about it in my opening. When you're comparing 250 days 250 days of utter anarchy and chaos. It's just inconceivable to me that we're even having this discussion. Not you and me, but people in America. And it just goes to show you the power of the media. And we're going to be getting into that next week because, MSNBC, CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, they frame these things in such a way that they bamboozle the American people or people that aren't really watching the news and paying attention to what's going on. So they get a little tidbit here, little tidbit there. Oh, it must be real. And it's not. And they're being led astray. And look, we know that that's part of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals as well, to use the media. Hitler did it. So did Stalin. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with our guest, Roger Stone. We've tried so many of Mike's products at MyPillow. Whether it's the Giza Dream Sheets, the MyPillow mattress topper, or whether it's the MyPillow towel sets. Me and my family here at Indivisible, we've tried all of Mike's great products and we just love them. My mom loves her robe. Mark loves the big dog bed for Shakespeare. And my favorite, the moccasins, which are really great for my feet. Save up to 66% off for MyPillow products for you and your family. Go to MyPillow.com and enter the promo code Indivisible for my show. Or call 1-800-716-4639 and give them the promo code Indivisible for my show. You're going to love it. Thanks for coming back with us. Look, I've got a couple questions here. By the way, audience are sending in their love for your wife. They want to make sure that she knows about it. And prayers for her. Thank God. Let's see here. I'm just reading along here. The Democrats want to hire more lawyers for the IRS to go after Americans. This has to stop. I agree. Hey, it's Die. Soros or the CCP ultimately. George Soros pays for much, directly, indirectly. Who paid for all those huge buses? Good point, Richard Anderson. Hiya, Roger. Prayers for your wife.
Thank
From
you.
Riots. Nuremberg revisited. They should look at what happened to the guys that pulled that before they try to go through with this. This needs to be shared everywhere. Wake up, people. So I just wanted to read a few of those comments, but lots of love coming in for you and your wife. I do have, I want to talk to you about what's next for you. But before I do, I have a question here. And this is a tough question that came to me earlier today. And I was a little hesitant about asking, but I'm going to ask it because I don't understand it. Someone asked me to ask you about the Shadowgate lawsuit and PFC Bergey's claim that he told Alex Jones to fire Millie Weaver. He wants me to ask if that's true or what your response is.
I have no idea of the inner workings of InfoWars, so I couldn't comment on any of that. Here's what I do know. In the film, it is said that I was a partner with General James Jones and Paul Manafort in some kind of technological company. This is categorically false.
Okay.
I was unaware of that General Jones even existed, and I've certainly never been in business with him, ever. Never met the man, never communicated with him, and had no business. I told Bergey this multiple times. Other than that, by the way, I thought the film was pretty good, pretty on the money. But I couldn't comment about anything regarding InfoWars. Sure. That's a question for Alex Jones.
What do you think, for putting that aside, how much do you believe John Brennan is involved in all of this?
John Brennan is, without any question, probably Q. I mean, I think that it's interesting that there's no censorship on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram of Q until after the election. I find that extraordinarily disturbing. Now, many people who follow Q are patriots, and I don't mean to criticize them in any way. And it's all kind of interesting. But lawlessness and violence are never the answer. I don't believe that we go to the bullet box. I want to win at the ballot box.
Amen.
And we can. Again, go to Roger Stone's plan to save America.com, kind of a mouthful, and get your copy of my 4-part plan, which we can use to take back this country. I'm just as upset as anyone about the results of the 2020 election, but this is the proper response. This is what we must do.
Yes. And again, people, go to stonefamilyfund.com and do everything that you can to reach out and help Roger and his wife. They need you right now. They're going through some really tough times, and I'm asking patriots to step up all around the country. And I know it's been a tough year. Everybody's always getting pulled in one direction or another to give to this cause or this candidate or that candidate. But very few people, folks, have been through the kind of hell, excuse my French, that people like Roger Stone, General Flynn, my friend Carter, these are all my friends, Carter Page, that they've been through, even Paul Manafort. All these people have been through the ringer, and their lives have been destroyed in different ways and different multitudes. And look, we know what happened. We know that the Russia hoax was nonsense. We've talked about it over and over and over again ad nauseum. So look, people like Roger Stone, he's a patriot. He's a God-fearing man, and he's a wonderful human being, and we need to support that. Roger, what's next on tap for you as far as projects go? I heard you talk about your show, and that's exciting, and we'll hit that before we go. But other than your show, what else is coming up for you?
Well,
what are you working on now that you're a free man?
Sure. As you know, I've already written 5 books. You referenced my first book, The Man Who Killed Kennedy, The Case Against LBJ, New York Times bestseller.
Yes.
I think I make the case definitively there. It reads pretty quick, kind of like a murder mystery. Also my book, Nixon's Secrets, The Truth About Watergate. Then The Making of the President, 2016, How Donald Trump Orchestrated an American Revolution. So I'm writing yet another book. This one is entitled Roger Stone Did Nothing Wrong.
I love it. Great title.
My Political Persecution and the Loss of the 2020 Election. And hopefully it'll be out by September. As soon as I finish here, I got to go work on it some more.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to talking to you about film and documentary with you. And like I said, we've been talking about it. I'm very excited about the possibilities there. Look, folks, we've been very blessed today to have an amazing show. Thank you so much for being my guest today, Roger. I hope you'll come back and we'll continue this conversation.
I appreciate being here very much, and I appreciate the prayers and the support of so many people around the world praying for the recovery of my wife from stage 4 cancer, and praying for our recovery, because the assault on our family by Mueller and his thugs was beyond anything you can imagine. Many of the aspects of my case are sealed, and therefore I'm not allowed to speak about them. But look at what General Flynn has gone through, and you have a pretty good idea of what was done to us. So thank you, John, and God bless you. It's been great to be here.
Yeah, we're thrilled to have you. And one more time before we go, tell the audience about your new show.
It is Get Stoned. You'll find it at stonecoldtruth.com. Enjoy your entry into the Stone Zone.
God bless you, brother. We'll see you soon. That was Roger Stone. We were thrilled to have him this afternoon. Also, Jeff Zink, candidate who is running for Congress out in Arizona, who's dealt with continuing to be dealing with the election recount and the election fraud out in Maricopa County. It's been a great show today. Now, next week, again, and before we go, I want to remind you, go to indivisibleevents.us. We're streaming to that new website now. You can also go to get our events. You can go there to make a donation or join us as a sponsor. We'd love to have you. And we want to praise our audience for always being there, being loyal. We know that you want the truth. You're hungry for truth. And we respect that. And we love you for that and for putting God first. Next week, again, I have, we're going to do a whole show, well, half the show on conservative filmmakers and the power of the media. And I've got Mark Cook, Amanda Milius, who just, her brand new film, The Plot Against the President, phenomenal. Lee Smith, Amy Matsko, who wrote Halo Theory, Eric Early, who's running for Attorney General in California, Shane Beauvais, and Alex Stovall, who's running for Congress out of Arizona. Until next week, God bless you and God bless America.